I can fix anything in post. So
All right. So, good evening. Hi there. Hello from We Are Oak Weird. Welcome to another havamal study. I'll be your host this evening. Nelson Young, elder or vice president, and I'm using the James Chisholm translation from 2009.
And I'm Hank Stratton. I am the master of coin, as usual, for Wraither Akved, and I will be using the Poetic Edda, translations from Carolyn Larrington. As often I've been saying that, I'm stumbling over it.
Yeah, it's the beer you had
Yeah.
earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I won't talk about that one. Wish we had more mead. Anyway.
Okay, we'll talk after.
I'm Joshua. I'm a visiting traveler. I'll be using the Study Havamal from the Hugin and Moonin Publishing. We are on stanza 33.
33.
And I am Kristen Warswick. I'm using the new translation from Ben Wagner.
There we go.
Tree. Okay. Since I started the last one, I guess I'll do it this time. What the heck?
Yeah, why not?
An early meal a man should usually eat unless he is going to a visit. He sits and guzzles and acts as if he's starving and doesn't make any conversation.
All right. A man should often get his meals early when he visits friends. Otherwise, he sits and idles, eats like he were starving without even asking.
From the Bray translation, a man should take always his meals betimes unless he visits a friend or he sits and mopes, half famished seems, and can ask or answer not.
A man should often take meals early unless he's come on a friendly visit. He sits and looks around hungrily, acts famished, and cannot ask about many things.
The Thorop, early meals a man should often take unless to a friend's house he goes, else he will sit and mope, will seem half famished, and can a few things inquire. And from Bellows, oft should one make an early meal, nor fasting come to a feast, else he sits and chews as he would choke, and little is able to ask.
All right. So, what do we get from this one?
He's bloody damn well rude.
He has low blood sugar.
No, I mean, seriously.
All that meat, you wouldn't get low blood sugar.
Yes, well, there's a point there. I mean, we're looking at, and the basic common theme on this is that before you go on a visit, you should eat. That way there you don't come in, you don't act like you're rude, and you have a bit of a full tummy, so therefore you're a little more loose-tongued, and the mead will certainly help with that.
Right.
But this other part, unless he's going on a visit. Well, even still, when you're on a visit, you don't eat your friend out of house and home and act like,
Nah.
dude, I don't eat. Give me some. Yeah, no, it's basically the overall that I'm getting out of this is don't be rude.
I would agree with that statement. Yeah, I mean, there's times that I'll stop and grab something if I haven't eaten all day and eat like a late lunch, around maybe 2:30. That way, when I come to group at 7, I'm not so damn ravenous. I'm eating everything in sight because we know those people who do.
We do? Oh.
And it's sure. I mean, if it happens, it happens. But to make it a habit is, I think, the issue.
I'm failing to come up with the word here. It's on the tip of my tongue. But if you're going to visit somebody, you don't want to impose on their hospitality. There it is. Even though, we've read and heard time and time again, if you're going to be a host, you have to be able to provide food and drink and, the ability to break bread. But if you are coming to someone's house and almost expecting it, I mean, it's rude. So I see it as not expecting someone else's hospitality,
right?
Even though you would get it. It's kind of like asking to use the bathroom in your friend's house, even though you know you can use it.
Right. Yeah, you still ask because it's the courteous thing to do.
Yeah. So, don't show up hungry.
Right.
I have a friend like that always is cooking for me and stuff. And I started to feel like I was taking advantage of her, even though she's my best friend and I go out of my way to be appreciative. So I brought her like sage today to show her I'm grateful for her. I may not have had money for food and you shared with me, but here I'm thinking of you, So she knows and doesn't feel, because that way I felt like when I was in this time of struggle, she's always helping, giving, and I felt, bad about it. So.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, we do what we can. Sure. I mean, if you need help and you ask a friend for help and they help you, that's perfectly fine. But that's where the spiritual aspect comes in too, because gabo, obligation,
Right?
Not necessarily. I don't view it as gift personally. I know a lot of people who do, and it's fine if you do out there. Who cares? You see it the way you see it. But I look at it more as obligation, because anytime that I give a gift to someone, or I receive a gift from someone, especially if I'm not expecting this particular person to give me a gift, because it does happen from time to time, it's almost like that. Do I accept this because I know that they're going to expect something in turn? Or do I turn the gift away because I don't know you well enough to go into a gift cycle with you?
Yeah.
And there's that whole thing.
Glad you said that, because it's, the gift reciprocity.
Right.
So
yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, if I spend $100 on someone, I don't expect someone to pay $100 on me. That's not the way that shit works. It's more or less, it's all in the it's in the thought of giving.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily in what the gift is. And I think sometimes people confuse that too.
There is that. No, seriously, there is that. It's like, oh, you spent this much money on me. Oh my God, I can't afford that. What am I going to do? It's like, no, it's the thought. I mean, it's a lot of what we're reading.
Christians a lot.
I mean, I'm not going down that road.
Yeah, no, I agree.
No,
seriously,
seriously.
I don't want to denigrate your religion if you're a Christian, but it just definitely seems that way. I'm sorry, Hank, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, a lot of this was wrote back when the winters were harder,
right?
And people were not as close distance-wise,
right?
So when you went out, you had a responsibility to your host. Your host had a responsibility to you. Just because your host didn't have 3 longhouses and
whatever,
whatever else, there's that respect. You don't eat them out of house and home. This is a gift. This is what they can afford to give you. Respect that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very well put.
One of the ways in which I always try to remember is don't look at the monetary value, but look at the thought that's put into whatever it is. Sometimes a home cooked meal from something that you haven't had in a long time or never had.
Emotional equity, not cost equity. Yeah.
Right. I had a good friend of mine. I went over to his house, and sure, I picked up some wine and some other stuff, and I brought it over, and he made mustard bread because he's from Boston. And he makes it with Chinese mustard, and I'd never had it before. And oh my God, was it good? Was it monetarily equivalent to what I spend? Probably not, but I don't give a shit.
But the effort that was put into that, in its preparation,
right.
Right.
Because he made it from scratch. He took maybe an hour out of his day and did it. So to me, it's whatever. You look at what it is, not the monetary value.
Well, if he's making bread, honestly, it's about 2.5 to 3.5 hours.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
You
know.
watch it right.
But the
I don't make
point,
bread, so.
but the point remains the effort that he had put into it.
Yeah. So for all you out there, I make meat. That is what I do. I don't do the whole bacon thing. I don't understand it. So math in public due to public school. So there we are.
Okay.
Don't expect too much of your host.
Basically.
Boilerplate.
Right. But that also goes for the whole spiritual aspect too, because I know a lot of people who are like, there's one guy, and if you're this person, listen. There was a guy that I knew in Hawaii that thought that he had to make a blood sacrifice every day. So every day he was cutting his own hand open and bleeding into a bowl every day. Once I explained to him, and later on it'll come up in one of the stanzas, I can't remember which one at the moment, but Odin tells you A gift given often is meaningless.
Right.
If you give just to give, it means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're giving for a reason, it means everything. So I don't think he really understood what the purpose was of a blood sacrifice and of a
Better to not sacrifice than to sacrifice too much.
There it is. Right. So from a spiritual aspect, it is not necessarily a great thing to
No.
to gift too often or too openly with the gods, because then you're going to expect things that they're going to do. And as I'm often quoted, hearing people quote me anyway, keep your Christian out of my heathen, because we do not see it the world the same way. The gods very seldom help those who don't first help themselves. So to ask for, oh, I need this, I need that, and just keep giving, it's better to try to help yourself first and then find a way that you can reciprocate. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I know. 10,000 comedians out of work, and I'm trying to be funny.
True though, there's a lot of people that don't even understand that aspect of life. So
Right.
it's not even crossed their mind ever. So that's cool. My grandpa first told me that when I was probably in my early 20s, was educating me about this kind of stuff, and I was baffled. Like, I was so naive and brainwashed. It took me a while to unlearn. And,
Oh, yeah. Yep. Sometimes it takes people, they don't learn the first time. Sometimes good advice is most often the crap you already know but don't want to listen to until someone else tells you. So, yeah. Anything else?
I put my button in it.
Okay. All right. Well, Read the Arc Weird, thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe reminder button, the notification thing.
No, that was a little demented.
Yeah. Comment below, please. We want to hear from you. Tell us what we're doing right or what we're doing wrong. I don't really care. As long as you're civil.
And respectful. Would you just say something? I'm getting tired of adding all my comments in there. I'm the only one.
Well, bye, y'all.
lively group.